When we talk about AI, we get so obsessed with the model, right? This idea of a brain in a jar. But what if I told you the jar and the table it's sitting on and the room it's in is actually the most important part? That's the AI harness. And it's the real story behind whether an AI is actually useful or just a science experiment.
So let's get specific. What is this AI harness? Well, it's the whole shebang. It's the entire system around the model. Think of it as the AI's body, its memory, its toolbox. It's what decides where the AI works, what it can see and touch, and how it connects to everything else you use. And just look at the difference a good harness can make. This is wild. Researchers took the exact same model, the same brain, and ran it in two different harnesses. In a basic setup, it scored a 42% on a really tough task. But in an optimized harness, it jumped to 78%. That's nearly double the performance. The harness isn't just some container. It's a massive performance multiplier.
Okay, so a good harness is critical. But why? What is it actually solving? Well, it's tackling a huge, invisible problem that every single AI agent runs into the second you ask it to do anything more complicated than a simple one-shot task. That problem is called context bloat. See, as an agent works, it keeps its entire chat history in memory, every command, every result, every single mistake. And that causes a total mess. It gets slow, your costs go through the roof because you're paying to reread that massive history over and over, and worst of all, the AI actually gets dumber. It gets distracted by its own past, something researchers even call context poisoning. And this graph shows a really clever solution. That red line climbing up, that's a normal agent. Its context just grows and grows until it breaks. But look at the blue line. That's a smart harness. The agent works for a bit, then it pauses, reflects on what it's learned, and basically summarizes it, pruning away all the useless junk. It creates this sawtooth pattern, keeping its memory lean and focused. And the results are pretty incredible. Using this focus architecture, researchers cut the total cost, the tokens, by almost 23%. And here's the kicker. It did it with the exact same accuracy. So you're getting a cheaper, more efficient agent with zero performance hit. That's all thanks to a smarter harness. So how the big AI labs are solving these problems is revealing two totally different philosophies about how AI should work with us. It's not just a technical debate, it's a fundamental split in vision. I call it the collaborator versus the contractor. All right, on one side, you've got the collaborator. Think of Anthropic's Claude. This model works right beside you on your own machine. It has access to your files, your command line, the works. It's incredibly powerful, but you have to trust it. Then you have the contractor, which is more like OpenAI's approach. It works in a locked-down, sterile sandbox in the cloud. No internet, no file access by default. It's all about safety first. And this developer's comment is a perfect example of the collaborator model in the wild. They keep a shared text file, a Claude.md, with all the project's rules. Claude reads this, learns it, and actually remembers it between sessions. It's building up institutional knowledge, becoming a real long-term partner on the project. And this really gets to the core difference: memory. With the collaborator, the agent remembers. It builds its own knowledge over time. But with the contractor, the codebase is the memory. The agent is a blank slate every single time. All the project's intelligence has to be written into the code itself, because the agent won't remember a thing. And here's what the contractor experience feels like. You ask it to do something basic, and you hit a wall. Can't access the internet. And why is that? As this user points out, it's a safety feature. The harness is built to be restrictive because, they don't want the AI to go rogue and delete your entire life's work. It's a contractor in a clean room, not a partner at your desk. So who cares, right? Collaborator, contractor, why does this matter so much? Well, it matters because when your company picks a tool, you're not just getting a subscription, you're buying into an entire architecture. And that comes with a huge strategic risk nobody is really talking about yet. That risk is harness lock-in, and it's brutal. Once your entire team builds its habits, its automations, its whole workflow around one of these philosophies, switching to another one becomes almost impossible. You're not just changing tools, you're rebuilding your company's brain from scratch. And I'm not being dramatic. Look at this number. This is a real cost from a real company. When their AI provider's platform went down, it cost them $315,000 just to move 40 workflows over to a new system. That is the price of lock-in. Now, you might be thinking, I'll just pick the winner and I'll be fine.
But just look at this market data. The AI world is changing so fast. The leader today could be playing catch-up tomorrow. So betting your entire company's strategy on a single provider in a market this volatile, that's a huge gamble. So how do you protect yourself? The solution is architectural. It's something called an AI gateway. You can think of it like a universal adapter for AI. It sits between your code and all the different AI providers. It lets you switch models or even entire harness philosophies without having to rewrite everything.
And this isn't some niche idea. The big analysts at Gartner are all over it. They're predicting a massive shift. Right now, maybe 5% of companies are using these gateways. But by 2028, they expect that to be 70%. This is becoming the new standard for building with AI.
So what can you do? It really comes down to three things. First, architecturally, use those gateways and abstraction layers. Second, contractually, when you sign up with a vendor, demand data portability. Make sure you can take your stuff and leave. And third, governance. Just know what tools your team is using and understand the risks.
At the end of the day, picking an AI agent is so much more than a software purchase. You're not just buying a hammer. You're committing to an entire workbench, a whole philosophy for how you and your team are going to work in the future. So let's just recap the big ideas. Number one, the harness is often more important than the model. Number two, we're seeing two big philosophies emerge, the trusted collaborator and the safe contractor. Number three, choosing one is a massive architectural commitment. Because of that, the real strategic risk is harness lock-in. And finally, the path to safety is flexibility through things like abstraction layers and AI gateways. Which leaves us with the final question, really, the one for you to think about. As you start building with these tools, which workbench are you choosing? Are you going all in on the trusted collaborator? Do you prefer the safety of the isolated contractor? Or are you building for a hybrid future where you can have the best of both? The workbench you build today is going to define how you work for years to come.